P-A-S-C-A-L. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits as it should. It's Saturday, y'all. Thank God it's Saturday. You know, hopefully you guys got to get a chance to kind of relax, maybe sleep in a little bit, you know, enjoy this Sunday or this Saturday. I'm sorry, in the most positive and most productive way possible, or finishing up projects that you were trying to finish this week that you didn't get a chance to finish and all that stuff. So hopefully you guys are getting exactly what you need done or needed today. Okay, but we are here because we got to talk about some things that are going on. Let's be real. We are all still shocked about this whole situation, so we got to talk about this. We got some new updates revolving around this trial, the trial that happened for three damn days, guys. 3 days, and it was dismissed. We're going to talk about all that in just a little bit and a whole lot more. But before we get into everything, please do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you are watching on Facebook or on these other platforms that I happen to be streaming on. If you are watching or are interested in following me on other platforms, please be sure to follow me on my Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. That would be greatly appreciated. Of course, do not forget to crush that subscribe button here on my YouTube channel. That would be dope as hell. Also, go check out my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there on my secondary YouTube channel. And of course, if you want to support the channel, become a member. Hit that join button down below. Okay? Hit that join button down below. Or go check out my Patreon. Patreon.com/The Pascal Show. It's in the ticker right down there. Going that way underneath me right now as we speak. Okay? All right, guys. We got to get into some things. Okay. There's not a lot to talk about, but this has been quite an unprecedented week. It's been a really wild one. And the thing is it's not every day that you get to see Alec Baldwin weep. Okay? I mean, free of charge, by the way. Free of charge, because he's an actor and we pay to go see him in movies and see him cry if he is in a movie where he cries. You know what I'm saying? So we get to see this on the free 99. Okay? But this shook the internet yesterday, right? His whole trial was dismissed because of the misconduct done by the prosecution. Another thing that we've never seen before, or at least I've never seen. And like I said, I've watched a lot of like Perry Mason, a lot of Matlock, a lot of what is it? Law and Order. You know what I'm saying? SVU, okay, the one with Ice-T, you know what I mean? But I have never seen, ever in my life, a lawyer actually take the stand. I've never seen that in my life. I mean, I've seen it in comedies, like in movies that are, trying to poke fun at the judicial system or just, trying to be funny and whatnot. But, comedies, but I've never seen it in real life. That was the wildest thing I've ever seen. Then on top of it, I mean, let's not forget, the defense claimed that the prosecution did not present specific evidence to the trial. In fact, these pieces of evidence were put under a different case number. Now, we heard from Corporal Marissa. Now I got to pull out my notes here. Hold on. Not Marissa. I'm sorry. Alexandria Hancock. All right. Who was actually one of the officers that was actually handling the evidence that was allegedly just out of nowhere dropped off by what they were calling a good Samaritan. All right. He wanted to drop off these other rounds and all that. And, in regards to this trial, they said, let's just file them under a different case number, in which she said under oath on the stand during her testimony that that's what the agreement was, to not put it under the same case number as this particular case's case number. That is very odd. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this whole thing, aside from seeing, the two of them embracing and this whole trial being dismissed, we also saw, well, actually, we didn't see it. We just heard it during the prosecutor Morrissey's random impromptu testimony. We heard that the other lawyer, Erlinda Ocampo, hopefully I'm saying her last name correctly, that she resigned right after this information was dropped in the very beginning in the morning. Real talk. As soon as the defense dropped this bombshell and said, hey, prosecution did not present this as evidence. It was filed under a different case number, and that's suspicious as hell, right? Erlinda, the other special prosecutor for the state, going against Alec Baldwin, never heard about this stuff. At least that's what she alleges. And of course, like any other person, she resigned right then on the spot. So we never saw her ever again. She got up, she packed up her stuff, she allegedly went to the bathroom and then left the bathroom. As soon as she walked out that bathroom, she walked right out the courthouse doors. Pretty wild. Now, if I said mistrial, I didn't mean mistrial. I meant dismissal. All right. I don't know if maybe I misspoke. I don't know. But still, nonetheless, pretty shocking information and pretty surprising stuff here. Okay. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Now, I will say this too. I'm not sitting here saying, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think it was the best choice for Prosecutor Morrissey to take the stand. Feels a little arrogant. Like, oh, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to nip it in the bud. Everything's going to be all right. I got this. Right? But it only made things worse. In fact, and this is, of course, I'm not talking about Erlinda. Erlinda left. She gone at this point. But when Morrissey was up on the stand, there were questions about her bias, her prejudice towards Alec Baldwin, right? To the point where not only did it show that, she tried to explain, all right, these rounds had nothing to do, she felt that those rounds had nothing to do with the actual trial or this case in general. So she felt like it was not necessary, that it was not evidence for this particular trial. So they just put it under a different case number. But then on top of that, we hear about things that she was alleged of saying, calling him a arrogant such and such, calling him a various graphic and degrading words, insulting words about him, but saying, oh, I love his politics. I love his skits on SNL, and I'm a big fan of his movies. Yeah, okay. But within all of that, it was like basically the perfect storm of mucky muck, which I can understand why when we see how the judge reacts, the judge was angry as hell. I ain't never seen a judge so angry in my doggone life. Okay. I mean, I've seen some trials, but I've never seen one like this before. Okay. And I think you can all agree. But it was the perfect storm of everything. The prosecution just started to crumble as soon as the defense threw that information out there. They're like, yo, this violates the Brady, this violates Giglio, this violates all these different things. This is wrong. This should be a dismissal. You should dismiss this trial. After all of what they did, right? That's when. After all that, the judge finally said this is a dismissal. After a whole day of listening to other testimonies, other people coming up, speaking about the evidence that was never filed and all that. It was pretty bad. Okay? Long story short. All right? But now, the prosecutor, the special prosecutor, all right, Erlinda Ocampo, has spoken out. In fact, she was quick. She went on Law and Crime. She went on News Nation. She was quick to hop onto these places and explain her piece because, of course, some people, I even pointed it out during the live when we were watching this whole trial live. I even said, yo, there is something up because she quit, guys. She resigned right after the defense was trying to file a motion for dismissal because of their because of their misconduct, right? And I was like, oh, wow. The fact that she did that too, I mean, it's a wrap now. It's definitely dismissal. I thought maybe they were going to hold out and and everything was going to be all right. I thought they were just going to be like, all right, let's get everything in order. And then this was a misunderstanding or a miscalculation or something of that sort, right? And then we're going to keep pushing forward for the rest of next week, right? Hear from Hannah Gutierrez and all that stuff. But that is obviously no more. What's also very interesting about this is that, and we learned yesterday, is that this dismissal means that Alec Baldwin can never be tried for this crime ever again. So he's exonerated due to prosecution's misconduct. Pretty interesting, right? Now, I know some will look at it and go, he wins by technicality, right? But that doesn't prove that he's innocent. But then there's other people that might say, nah, that shows corruption. That shows some sort of very, very messed up manipulation here, trying to move the goalpost. On the state's behalf. I don't know what to tell you. I leave that kind of decision and those thoughts up to you, but still nonetheless, pretty wild and interesting stuff nonetheless. Quite an interesting, like I said, quite an interesting week. Very short trial. But man, was it interesting, okay? So the thing is I want to share with you guys a little bit of an article before we go into, because we do have the full interview, and I want us to watch that. Okay, Chris Cuomo did an interview with Erlinda Ocampo, and because I feel like it's important to hear from the horse's mouth, from the source, from the person who actually resigned, and wondering why she resigned, right? But before we go into that, I want to share a little bit of an article with you guys. Okay. So let's see. Let's go here. It's a stunning turn. Alec Baldwin's manslaughter trial has come to an abrupt end as the judge dismissed the Rust case after finding law enforcement had concealed evidence that prevented the actor from preparing his case. Now, I want to point out, again, just a quick reminder, it's not only just prosecution. Law enforcement works side to side, side by side. They're teammates. It's Batman and Robin. Okay, prosecution and the prosecutors and law enforcement work together to build a case. Okay. And the fact that law enforcement and the prosecution had concealed this evidence, it's very damning. Then also on top of that, let's not forget, there was body cam footage showing law enforcement in the room that were involved in this investigation, talking to the gentleman that was trying to drop off the rounds. Coming in from, if I'm correct, he was coming in from Arizona or something like that. He was coming in from somewhere else, right? He was coming in from a completely different state to drop off this stuff. And they still did not put that evidence into the case. They filed it under a different case file number. That's insane, guys. And so of course, you look at it and you go, wait a second. Man, side-eyeing like a mug, right? It's pretty bad. But then, I still am kind of curious about what does this mean for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed? Does it mean that they can bring this out and use this? Or does it only just apply to Alec Baldwin's case? I'm quite curious about that, because that kind of concealing of evidence makes you wonder, did they conceal evidence on her trial as well? Even though, I'm going to be real, even though she done mucked that up, okay? Shoot, she did that. She was responsible for that. She was an absolute mess, okay? We can all agree on that. We saw the footage, okay? Absolute mess. But could she walk, or could she get out on a technicality? I don't know. And I'm assuming that her lawyers are probably looking into this right now as we speak, just even entertaining it for 2 seconds. But let's continue on. This is crazy, though, okay? That they concealed that evidence. That shows some serious corruption, potentially, right? At least to me, all right? Okay, Baldwin broke down in tears as his wife, Hilaria, as did his wife, Hilaria, as it became apparent that the judge was dismissing the case. He faced up to 18 months in prison if convicted in the demise of Helena Hutchins' death. Okay. So the turn of events is incredibly dramatic. So his attorney claimed authorities initially concealed evidence of live ammo on the set. Police investigator Popple, who testified before, but then she got brought back on, and she clearly was very agitated. And I keep wondering, she must have been agitated because she must have been caught. Like she must have noticed or realized that she was about to get caught in this situation. She's about to get wrapped up in a screw up. And again, this could literally be no corruption whatsoever, just a very strange mistake, a miscalculation, bad judgment. But optically, in the court's eye, they're looking at this as corruption. Oh, you're hiding this information. You're hiding this evidence because you want him to be locked up. You want him to take responsibility. As he was saying, as Spiro said while he was, questioning prosecutor Morrissey, you clearly have it out for Alec Baldwin. You don't like him at all, do you? Right? You're calling him a sea sucker and all these other things, right? I mean, it's bad. Okay. But they brought Popple back on, all right? Because she was in the room when they received the rounds from the Good Samaritan. Okay. The gentleman that came in and dropped it off. She was in the room. She's on body cam receiving the ammo. It's like, so then I go, wow, now I can see why she was so agitated and mad. Oh, can you repeat that long statement again? I didn't understand that long statement again. It's like, damn. Okay. But she testified. She had been instructed by her superiors to create a report documenting that police had received ammunition and to file it under a different case number than the Rust case. In other words, it wouldn't be visible to defense. Why would they hide that stuff, right? Live ammunition on the set is a critical part of the case and could have helped Baldwin argue through those around him who were responsible for loose safety standards. So you see what I'm saying? So if there was all this other ammo that was allegedly supposed to be there, or that was on the set, that was brought over to Popple, or brought over to law enforcement, okay? Popple is sitting there getting all the evidence, putting all these things together. She should be putting it underneath Rust case, but she's putting it under something completely different. Whatever she's calling it, the Kaiser Soze case, something you'll never see. I don't know. Okay. But that's very odd that she would do something like that. It's very odd that law enforcement would do something like that as well. Period. Okay. The judge found hiding critical evidence hampered Baldwin's ability to defend himself, and the only appropriate sanction was to dismiss the case with prejudice. The judge said, there is no way for the court to right this wrong. I mean, like I said, imagine being the judge in this particular trial. And of course, you're listening to both sides, but this is also representation of the judicial system that you represent as well, that you are judging in. That's crazy. And the fact that they were able to catch this defense is a huge, huge win. That's a huge thing. Okay? Huge thing. Now, at the same time, though, regardless of what we think, regardless if we believe he did that or that he didn't do it, right? We will never hear a verdict about this particular case ever again. So, one thing, yes, he's been exonerated on possible corruption. Some might look at this as a technicality, right? Some might look at this as they were intentionally trying to hide this information. No matter what, there is no verdict as far as his doing or his involvement with the passing of this mother, of this cinematographer, Helena Hutchins. There will never be any judgment on that. Imagine that. So imagine, yes, he's walking free. He'll be able to do whatever the hell he wants. Okay? He can go back to acting if he wants to. But at the same time, a jury of his peers did not say guilty or not guilty. So there will be a corner of the world that's going to be sitting there going, man, you did that, bro. Really? And I guess a part of it too, like I said on yesterday's show, there's going to be a part of him that's going to be wondering for the rest of his life, would I be found guilty or not guilty for this whole thing? Maybe, I don't know how his mind works, but at the same time, I keep wondering maybe that's what he would think, you know what I mean, in the back of his head. But moving on. One of the prosecutors in the case, Erlinda Ocampo Johnson, resigned in the middle of Friday's hearing over the alleged cover-up of evidence. In a dramatic scene in court, the judge put on a pair of blue surgical gloves and sliced open a bag of evidence handed to her inside a manila envelope. Evidence that Baldwin's team claimed that had been not seen until that point. So again, pretty wild stuff, as you guys can see here. Just a quick little recap of what happened yesterday. And again, it's so weird, man. This is so crazy. Imagine you going out here, you're thrown into a trial, you're putting everything together, you're trying to put together a solid case, and then you find out the opposing side is withholding evidence. And then they try to run it back like it wasn't it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary evidence. I didn't see it was necessary for the trial. Can you believe that? That's crazy, guys. All right. In my book, I consider that crazy. All right. So again, like I said, Erlinda Ocampo Johnson was on Cuomo last night. She was also on Law and Crime because she did something with Anjanette Levy as well. But I wanted to show you guys this one real quick. This is some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, she was quick to hop on here and get into an interview and tell her side of the story or tell her piece. So I figured, you know what? Let's hear it. I think it's interesting because, of course, there's going to be people who are going to be, because there's people who think that Alec Baldwin should be found guilty of these things. I still think that, hey, he had the weapon in his hand. The weapon went off in his hand. Okay. Now, I wanted to hear the rest of the argument. I wanted to hear more. You got to remember the defense, their argument was he's an actor. He was too busy acting to worry about the safety concerns of everybody else. Well, I still believe the weapon was in his hand. The weapon did go off while it was in his hand. This person lost their life and someone was severely injured. That is some serious stuff. And I wanted to see what the jury would have said, what their verdict would have been. Would it be hung? Would it be guilty? Would it be not guilty? I don't know. Now we don't know because prosecution done mucked that up so much that not only was it dismissed, but you had another prosecutor that was part of the whole team say, I'm out. Thank you so much for your time, but I'm out. So let's hear what she got to say, because I know people are going to be mad. You know, the people who think that he's responsible and that he should be found guilty, and they feel like he didn't get a fair trial on the side of him getting found guilty, might be trying to point blame at this particular prosecutor. Let's hear what she says, right? She explains why she walked, and I get it. So let's take a listen.
Crazy this got? One of the lead prosecutors, not the one who took the stand, Morrissey, the one who gave the opening statement, quit today. Why? Guess what? This almost never happens. This prosecutor wants to be heard enough that she's coming on TV right after this happened. Erlinda Ocampo Johnson joins us now. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity.
Hi, Chris.
First, let me give you a chance to respond what was said about you. Another member of the team said you left the team because you didn't like that this Brady hearing was public.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I left because I learned about this evidence when the public learned about it yesterday, late afternoon. I don't know if you're aware, I actually came on this case kind of late in the game. I came on the case towards the end of April, so I had to get up to speed. I was not involved in the Hannah Gutierrez case at all. And so I was not aware that this individual had taken this ammunition to the sheriff's department and provided it to the officers. I learned all of that yesterday when Mr. Spiro was cross-examining the crime scene technician. So I inquired some more. And this morning, when the motion hearing began, my position was during the lunch hour, before the lunch hour, during the lunch hour, we have an obligation as prosecutors. We have an obligation not only to the people, but to the defendant. Mm-hmm. And our obligation is to make sure that all the evidence is turned over. We don't get to decide what the defense is going to be. Our job is to ensure transparency and to ensure that the defendant has everything that the prosecution has gathered.
Now, again, you hear all this. Now, I mean, of course, we all now understand that, right? Even us people who are not, that are still new to this, to the law world, okay, to trials and whatnot, we all now understand this procedure. And the fact that, I mean, let's be real. She said, I'm out. That says enough to me. And if the judge, I'm sure, saw this, I'm sure the judge already knew, like, okay, we're going to dismiss this, but we're going to give the state an opportunity to explain itself, right? To present a solid reason of why this information was not put under the same case file, right? Under the same case number. But at the same time, when you see a prosecutor, a fellow prosecutor, just say, I'm out because this looks corrupt and I don't stand for that kind of stuff. I mean, that says, to me, that says a lot. Okay. And I do also say, mad props to Erlinda, okay, for taking the righteous route, because she could have just sat there and tried to fight it out. But it's like, no, you're making me look bad. The hell you on? Psh, no, I'm out. Shoot. This is corrupt. This is not right. Right. So I don't blame her. And she's got a point. If there's evidence that's supposed to be sent over and presented for the case of, like, all evidence, why was it put under a different case number? Why? Right? Is it corruption? Is it a mistake? Is it incompetence? What is it? Now, I'd like for them to look into I would like them to look into the prosecution and the freaking law enforcement that were involved in handling the evidence. What the hell's that all about, right?
What they do with it, that's up to them. Go ahead.
Two things. One,
Sure.
The better minds that I bring on the show, because what do I know, were very impressed by your opening. They felt that you had good command and that you made a very strong case. Did you believe that Alec Baldwin should be found guilty?
I did. I believed the evidence that we had. I had no idea that there was this other evidence that had not been turned over. That there were some actions that were done during the filming, and there was some recklessness. I did, based on the evidence that was available. But my job is not to get a conviction. It's to put the evidence before a jury. That's how I saw my job, is to put all this evidence before the jury and let the jury decide. But once things start, oh, go ahead.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I agree. Kim Princess even said that too, that, you were impressed by her, by her opening. I have to agree as well. I thought it was a solid opening. I will say this though too, in comparison to the defense's opening, because I thought the defense opening was pretty weak in my personal opinion. Just saying he's an actor, and I just thought that was pretty weak. So in comparison, hers was a lot more solid and had a lot more ground, right? It was a little bit more grounded than the defense's opening statements. That's just my personal opinion. I know everybody has their own opinion, but that's just mine, okay? I just thought it was just weak, okay? But I think that, I see, that's the frustrating part of this, is that we're going to have our thoughts and we're going to have our own convictions in our own head, right? Our own verdicts in our head. We're never going to get that answer, ever, because now this trial has been dismissed. Real quick, Kimberly Japan, thank you so much for being a member for the past 20 months. I really do appreciate it. Long time. Appreciate the support. Hey, Pascal and fam, just have to say I'm so grateful to be a part to be a part here. Thanks to Pascal, wonderful mods, and awesome fan burgers. Love to all. Yes, love it. Thank you so much. Real quick, and Melly, thank you so much for gifting 1 membership, and Kimberly in Japan gifting 1 membership. I really do appreciate it. All I ask for you guys who have just been gifted a membership is to do something positive, pay it forward, do something dope for somebody. Okay. That's all I ask for you to do. Okay. On this beautiful beautiful Saturday morning. Okay. But again, very interesting stuff, right? She believes that her argument and what she believes is that he should be found guilty, that he did some wrong, that there was some wrong here, that he did continue to be very very lazy, okay, with the care, with the safety measures, etc., with that weapon, right? But we will never get that answer now, guys. Remember, we will never get that answer because the doggone thing has been dismissed. Let's continue on.
Sorry.
No, I want to hear you. But once things what?
So once I learned that this evidence was not turned over, that it was there, it was under a different case number, and my obligations, my ethical obligations as a prosecutor. Now, keep in mind, I've been a prosecutor. I was a state and federal prosecutor for over a decade. I've been a prosecutor. I've been a criminal defense lawyer for the last 16 years. So I've been on both sides. And I know what you're required to do. And when this came to light, I think that the best decision would have been for the state to dismiss the case. That's why I resigned.
Really?
Because I believed that case should have been dismissed. And I advocated for that over the lunch hour. And it wasn't. And so when we came back after the lunch hour, I asked to withdraw.
Wow. Hold on. I'm rolling that back.
Should have been dismissed. And I advocated for that over the lunch hour. And it wasn't. And so when we came back after the lunch hour, I asked to withdraw.
Now, the fact that she said, listen, I was advocating for it to be for the whole thing to be dismissed during lunch hour. That's what I was aiming for. But then they continued to proceed on instead of proceed on with the bringing in the key witnesses and all that stuff revolving around this motion. She said instead of them actually just going back in after lunch and just saying it's dismissed, they continued on to start questioning all the people that were involved as part of this motion to dismiss. She didn't want it. She didn't want part of it. She was like, no, I'm not here for this embarrassing, this embarrassment tour. I'm not. I'm out. And so she chucked up the deuces and she dipset. That means leave. Kick rocks. Just for you guys who go, what does dipset mean? It means she kicked rocks. All right. She left. It's very interesting because she was like, I'm not here for it. I don't know. I didn't know anything apart. I wasn't a part of this. I didn't know anything about this. And this is some BS. So I'm out. Interesting though. And you know what? You're right. All true love. Allie True Love. Sorry. Yeah, I agree. I don't blame her either. I would have done the same thing. I would have peaced out. Okay. As soon as I found out about that, I'm like, wait a second. No, man. I don't know anything about this. Is this for real? Oh, this is for real? I didn't know anything about this. I have no responsibility, and I do not represent this type of presentation for the prosecution and for the state. So I'm out. If this is corruption, I have nothing to do with it. My name's Bennett, and I ain't in it. Deuces. And that's exactly what she did. So let's continue on.
So you wanted the prosecution team to walk away from the case. They said no. So you said, then I'm walking away. And then the judge basically agreed with you. So I have two questions. First one is, so you believe it should be dismissed? Explain to people who don't understand anything about the law, why did you believe this ammunition was so important for the defense?
So obviously, you're a lawyer, I think. Brady versus Maryland imposes requirements on the prosecution to turn over evidence. The rules of criminal procedure impose those requirements, those duties as well. So is the evidence material? That's number one. How timely is the disclosure? Without question, this was grossly untimely. Number two, is it material? So the question is, could the defense have made some use of this evidence in their defense? And like I said, we as prosecutors do not get to make that decision what the defense is going to be. It's, can the defense use this, and could it potentially raise some sort of reasonable doubt? And you have to step back. You're not an advocate. As a prosecutor, you're not an advocate. You are there to present the facts and to present the evidence. And your job is, and that's why I took this case on. I agreed to come on board, is because there was a woman who was killed. No question about it. This was tragic. And something happened. And a jury needed to make that decision. And so I believe in the system. And unfortunately, something went horribly wrong here, and I was not aware of it. And when I did become aware of it, my ethical obligations dictated that I advocate for a dismissal.
So let's talk about what went wrong, okay? And, you know, you guys at home can Google Brady versus Maryland. It's a 1963 case that basically just goes to things that either could be exculpatory, meaning it's evidence that the defense could use to show it wasn't them, or what they call impeachment, which is evidence that the defense could use to show that one of the witnesses for the prosecution is full of it, okay? Basically, that's what Brady was. They call it Brady material. Your co-counsel says you have it wrong, that this ammunition, she knew about it, obviously, and she says, nah, it didn't have any real value. It had no resemblance to the ammunition that is involved in Alec Baldwin's case. Why would I turn it over?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, a jury could have believed that, but our obligations are to turn all evidence over that could potentially be used by the defense in their defense. It's not for us to decide what is the defense going to be. It's not for us to say, well, his defense was he didn't pull the trigger. So his defense is not.
I got you. But here's the tough question. Here's the tough question. The suggestion, not from you, from me, is that this may have been in bad faith. Your co-counsel knew about this. She was willing to get on the stand, take the oath, and say, I didn't see any value here. Defense counsel and you echo the same standard. You don't get to decide whether or not it has value. She says, yes, I do. Otherwise, how do I know what to turn over? And I thought this didn't meet the standard. What is the standard, and why do you believe co-counsel got it wrong?
Well, this is a lot to process. Obviously, I learned about this yesterday evening. But just in looking at, so the first time I look at this evidence was this morning, because it was brought over to court. I think, as you saw, the judge had them open the envelope. And so there were 3 rounds that looked very similar to the live rounds that were found on the set of Rust. Thinking as a defense attorney, I'm thinking the defense could have argued Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was a great armorer. She was completely competent, and there was sabotage. So you have that potential sabotage angle. So then at that point, potentially those 3 rounds do become potentially exculpatory. But the point is, it should have been turned over. It wasn't turned over. And
you think it met the standard? Any way you look at it, it should have been turned over. It was enough for you to step away. I want to ask you about the case now that it's dismissed, because I didn't understand why you guys brought it. I thought it was totally political. I thought if this guy's name wasn't Alec Baldwin, if it was Alec McIntosh, he wouldn't be there. That he pissed off the prosecutors early on by what he was saying, and they wanted to get him. Why am I wrong?
Well, first of all, I was not involved in the charging decisions. I will tell you that based on my evaluation of the evidence that I was privy to and that I saw when I came on board on this case, was that there were numerous clips from the filming on the set that showed that Mr. Baldwin, unfortunately, did engage in some horseplay with this gun. For example, one individual who was interviewed by the OSHA investigators and testified or gave an interview that there was a time that he allowed Mr. Baldwin to use him kind of as a target, to shoot blanks at him, at his person. And obviously, these are real guns. You don't do that with real guns.
Horseplay. Again. Okay. No. I just fixed the poll. So sorry, there was something happened. I don't know what happened, and it didn't put up what I wanted to put up on the poll. So there's a new poll up. Okay. I want to hear your thoughts, because obviously now that there's a dismissal, but that's the thing. It's a dismissal. Does not mean that he was found guilty or not guilty. They just showed that there is some sort of, obviously potential, maybe questionable corruption within the state, within law enforcement and the prosecution, but that's not a verdict. Verdict was never said. Jury never came in and said, we find the defendant, Alec Baldwin, shit. We didn't hear nothing like that. Nothing at all. It was dismissed because of prosecution's muck up. They totally messed that up, right? So I still want to know. Put your vote in the poll. Get your ass to the poll and let me know what you think. Do you believe he should have been found guilty, not guilty, or you don't know? For me, I lean on one a little bit harder than the other three, but at the same time, I wanted to see what they were going to present, right? I really wanted to see what the defense was going to present as well, because the whole "I'm an actor" kind of thing is a very interesting argument to start off with this whole trial. Again, still wild, this whole situation. My mind is still very, very blown. But the fact that she's saying that there was moments or there's proof of him actually, horsing around, right, with these weapons, we'll never see it now. You realize that, right? We will never see it ever. Okay? We will never see that. Ain't that something? I'm going to roll it back a little bit because I was busy trying to put up that poll, okay? Because I want to hear a little bit of this last piece here. But really quick, Kimberly in Japan, thank you so much for the love. All the way from Japan, I appreciate the love. I believe he did do some wrong. I just don't think he's the only one to take the full blow. I so much wished that this trial would have gone deeper to show justice and provide a lesson to the industry. You know what? I agree with that tenfold. Because let's be real, I wanted to see how things were going to unfold. I wanted to see how the prosecution was going to present their argument. I really wanted to see how defense was going to pull. I wanted to see how they're going to pull a rabbit out of a hat with their opening, starting with that opening statement. He's an actor. I wanted to see how they're going to go with that, right? But we'll never see that, unfortunately. But the other part, the most important part, not only just getting justice for Helena Hutchins, because you got to remember, she's not getting full justice, okay? In some corners of the world, okay, on one side of the fence, there are people out here that feel like she's not going to get that she's not getting full justice. Sure, you have two that are paying their dues. The second AD, and you have Hannah Gutierrez Reed paying her dues in prison right now as we speak. But some may think that he should be held accountable a little bit for what happened here. Okay. One of the other things too, all right. One of the other things too, you got to remember is that he was also a producer on this movie. So there's a certain level of responsibility in regards to that too. He's more than just being an actor and just wearing one hat. He's wearing many, many hats on this movie. And the fact that the fact that the judge decided to omit that, said they're not allowed to bring that up in the conversation, I think was unfair in my personal opinion. Okay? In my personal opinion, I think that was wrong. Because that shows the amount of responsibility that he actually did have on the set of that movie. But that's been omitted. That was thrown out the window, right? During the hearing, all right, that they had. Now, of course, him horsing around on set, if he really was doing that, pretty damning stuff. But again, we're never going to see it. And like I said, some people believe, oh, I'm so happy he's been, the court has been dismissed this trial and this case and all that. But at the same time, there's a family that is grieving right now that still is not getting the justice that they believe that they rightfully deserve. Now, they could still take him to civil. court. He could still be attacked, right? Financially. The family and others can attack him for his money, can attack his pockets. And I'm sure that's going to be the next step, right? It's going to be an OJ situation, right? OJ was found not guilty. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit, right? And then the family, the Goldman family, and Brown family, if I'm correct, went after his pockets right after that. So there may be, he may not be done yet, but then again, maybe they are done. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. But I'm going to roll this back a little bit, because I was busy trying to put up that poll. Okay. But I want to hear a little bit of what she's saying here real quick, and we'll move on. Whoops.
That showed that Mr. Baldwin, unfortunately, did engage in some horseplay with this gun. For example, one individual who was interviewed by the OSHA investigators and testified or gave an interview that there was a time that he allowed Mr. Baldwin to use him kind of as a target, to shoot blanks at him at his person. And obviously these are real guns. You don't do that with real guns. So there's
on a movie set? But isn't that exactly what they do on a movie set?
Well, no, you don't use another person as a target, as a human target. So that could potentially be reckless. And so, he wasn't charged with intentional homicide. There's no question, for me, there's no question Mr. Baldwin did not intend to do this. But the question is, was there wanton and recklessness? And so that's why I did believe in the case. I had no idea that this other evidence had not been turned over.
That is very clear, and I've told the audience, this is not about you. That's a separate prosecutor who seemed to know about it. We've showed her on screen. Her name is Morrissey. It is not you. I just want to ask you, I have two more questions. The first one is, I still don't buy it. I don't understand how on a movie set, you should have a reasonable expectation that you might have live ammo in the weapon. Well, why? Why would you have that as a reasonable expectation?
Because remember, there are the SAG guidelines, there's bulletins, safety bulletins that dictate even if you're an actor, even if you're on a movie set, you treat a real firearm as though it's always loaded, never point it at another person, and don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot.
Standard.
Those are cardinal firearm handling safety rules. So yes, did I believe that there was some inappropriate behavior with regard to handling this gun? I do. It's unfortunate that things went the way they went, but the fact of the matter is that we as prosecutors have very, very serious and high ethical obligations that when something comes to our attention, evidence comes to us, or we become aware of evidence, you turn it over. You don't decide.
Are you a big...
Okay, before we continue, before they go into that next part, yes. See, regardless if it is live rounds or dummy rounds or whatever, you need to be handling the weapons with absolute safety and respect to the weapons and to the people around you. You should be treating it like it is an actual live weapon, like it could hurt somebody. It doesn't matter if it's like, oh, it's a fake plastic gun and all that stuff, but it looks real. You never know. All I'm saying is that there's certain procedures, there's certain protocol that does exist, that is implemented so that people stay safe on these sets. Now, what Kimberly said in that super chat that I forgot to mention or talk about is, I was hoping that this trial would be a wake-up call to Hollywood as well, that they would maybe circle back to how they handle weapons on sets. Because let's be real, we lost Brandon Lee a couple, what was it? I think it was like early 2000s or something like that, if I'm correct. So like decades ago. But a terrible, terrible accident happened to him. There's been plenty of other accidents like this, if not others, that have happened on sets where people have lost their lives due to, weapons being loaded improperly and all that stuff. There's a certain protocol. There's a certain way of handling these types of weapons that should be respected and looked at without a shadow of a doubt. This trial, I was hoping that we're going to see through it, like see the end of it, right? See all the way through to this particular situation or this particular case, but we're not. And I was hoping that during that time, it was going to make everyone, at least Hollywood, wake the F up, right? And realize like, hey, it's time to take this very seriously. You know, maybe it is time to start using rubber, fake weapons rather than actually going all out and trying to get the realest looking weapon out here. You know what I mean? There's certain protocol that needs to be implemented on these sets no matter what, and that's how it should be. And they were trying to prove that he was being, very lackadaisical with this whole thing on how he was handling his weapon. And I'm sure he wasn't the only person. Let's not forget. I'm sure he wasn't the only person that was doing that as well. But remember, he was the star of the movie. He was the star on the set, biggest name on the set. He leads by example. So if he's out there acting a fool, twirling the pew pew around and doing all that stuff, what do you think is going to happen? People are going to act the exact same way. Oh, if he's chill about it, I'm chill about it too. Yeah, let's go use these prop guns as and put some live rounds in them and shoot some cans and beer bottles. Let's go and do it. Okay. Like I said, it's no bueno. It's not good, guys. It's not good. But let's continue on. Let's continue on. But we'll never hear. We'll never find out, right? We'll never find out what happened here. All right.
Are you a big Alec Baldwin fan? I
actually do. I am a fan. I wouldn't say a big fan. I did, and I never saw him as Alec Baldwin, the actor. To me, this is a case. Someone died. This was a tragic case. Someone was killed, and she was killed with a live bullet. She was killed because someone also pointed a gun at her. I never had. For me, it was not about Alec Baldwin, the actor. This is not about politics. For me, it was about putting forth the facts before a jury.
Last thing for you, and again, really, thank you for coming on, Ms. Johnson. Really appreciate it. You ooze authenticity to me, and we are very hungry for it right now when it comes to trusting our institutions. So I appreciate what you did, but I'm also worried for you now. Are you worried that, the right move was for you to just kind of sit there and let the judge make the ruling, and then if they made the wrong ruling, you could have walked away, but now you walked away and you may be a target in the community or by other prosecutors for going bad on your team?
Well, no, I walked away before the judge made the ruling. I asked you.
I know. Should you have waited?
No, absolutely not. I have ethical obligations. And personally, I have moral obligations. And my ethical obligation and my moral obligations really are not that different. And so when I see that something isn't right, and when I see that the law isn't followed, I don't care who you are, where you are, you make the right decision. And for me, the right decision was to walk up to the judge and ask to be allowed to withdraw before that circus of a hearing got underway.
She ain't wrong with that. It was definitely a circus. And again, she said it's more than just ethical. It was a moral obligation as well. I don't blame her. And of course, I get the question though. It's like, hey, do you think that was the right idea to step down before the motions hearing, before they even went into those testimonies and all that? Do you think that was the best choice? And it's like, no. I mean, why would you stand there and sit through something like that you're not ethically or morally supporting? You're going to sit there and watch the house burn? You're going to stay in the house as the house is burning, or are you going to walk? I don't know about you, but it feels like it would be a reflection on you as a person and you as a prosecutor if you stayed. So then it suddenly reflects on you, showing that you could be corrupt too. See, this is the other thing too. I'm kind of wondering what's going to be the end result for Morrissey, the one that actually went up on the stand and turned herself into a witness, right? She went up and started talking her thing, and I'm wondering what's going to happen with her. Could this be grounds of her getting disbarred? What's going to happen with her, right? I mean, the world saw this. Will she ever have a job prosecuting anyone ever again? I'm curious about this. What's going to happen to her? Are they going to do a deep dive investigation into her and the misconduct that she was alleged of doing? For the unprofessionalism that she was alleged of doing and being involved in? In fact, is there going to be an investigation within that police department as well? Oh yeah, we got these bullets. We don't need. We don't need that. Just put it under another case file. Put it under another case number. We good. Is there going to be an investigation conducted for this type of misconduct? Not only just on Morrissey, but every single other person that went up and took the stand that was involved in law enforcement. I'm quite curious. Again, Eternity just said this too. Yeah, wasn't her first time hiding evidence. Are we sure about that? You know what I mean? But see, that's the thing. Now they need to be looking into that to find out what's up with that. Because if she was constantly moving the goalposts by, sweeping a couple, shell casings, for example, this situation is almost like she swept some shell casings under the rug really quick and said, those are not the bullets that you're looking for. You don't need that evidence. You good. You don't need that. Look over this way. That's unnecessary. We believe it's not evidence for this, necessary evidence for this particular trial. I keep wondering, is there more to it? Because that's kind of crazy as well. Again, like I said, we're never going to hear, which is crap. You know what I mean? Which is crappy. We'll never get the full decision from a jury, and see what they have to say about all of this, both sides, prosecution and defense. Because you never know. I feel some type of way, but then, about this trial or about this case, I lean hard on one side, but you never know. Throughout the rest of next week, if there was going to be a trial, my decision could have changed. My temperature could have completely changed in regards to this case. But because of their lack of transparency, for lack of a better term, okay, we will never have that answer. We will never see things thoroughly, which is kind of crappy, right? Jackie Sue, thank you so much for being a member. I really do appreciate it. What I hope, silver lining, is that from here on out, all actors will check their pew-pew. Yup, indeed. I agree with that 110%. Beautiful things. Thank you so beautiful messy ball. Sorry. Thank you so much for being a member for the past month. He was not only the actor who pulled the trigger. He was also the producer. So he's responsible for making sure safety protocols are followed. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. But what is crappy about this beautiful messy ball is that they literally said, we can't talk about the other responsibilities that he had on the set. That's what Judge Sommer said. Nope. Can't use that. Can't talk about him being an executive producer of this movie, the fact that he's behind the hiring and firing of certain crew members, so on and so forth, that he's not just an actor, that he was wearing many, many hats. He was spinning many plates at the same time. He was telling the crew to hurry up, to slow down, to let's get this, let's get that done, blah, blah, blah. He was pretty much the ringleader of this freaking movie. He was the star of the movie as well. He was wearing more than one hat. And his team, the defense, was basically saying he's an actor. He was busy thinking about lines and being in the emotion to emote. And that was it. That was it. But no, He was an executive producer, so he was also thinking about monies. He was also thinking about the people that he hired. And I get it that he didn't hire, technically, he didn't hire Hannah Gutierrez Reed. But at the same time, there are certain things that you know to do and what not to do when conducting or being a part of a production, period. And if he was out here wearing the hat, wearing the boss hat and the actor hat and all that stuff, those things should have been put in consideration, because it shows that he was more than just an actor and that he knows that there's certain safety protocols that need to be exacted and practiced by rote. And he didn't do that. Allegedly, that's what the prosecution was going to try to show, right? But we never will see that throughout.
Do you think that she decided the way she did because of you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that
I got to tell you. Go ahead, make your point.
No, I said I think it's because it met the legal standard.
I got to tell you, Erlinda Ocampo Johnson, this is a very refreshing conversation. It has nothing to do with the outcome of the case. I still don't get the case, but I respect your argument on it. And I really respect what you did and your rationale for doing it. This was a brave thing to do. And I have tremendous respect for you. And if there's anything we can do down the road to help, if this gets a little ugly because people don't like what you did, we're a call away if we can help in any way. But thank you for rationalizing your behavior the way you did.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. Now, all right. And I can already hear it. I already hear it, y'all. I already hear people out here going, was she a plant? I already see that, somebody going, no, she did that at the perfect time. She got paid to do that, to throw the whole thing off. Okay, she was for Alec Baldwin the whole time. She was getting paid for this. And I say, nah. I think that she did this. I'm just gonna say it, you know what I mean? Address the elephant in the room, because I already know that some people out here are already wearing the tinfoil hat, okay, conspirizing, and theorizing their stuff. And instantly they're gonna sit there and go, oh yeah, she was a plant. Oh, she was a plant. She got paid to do that. So optically, the judge would just dismiss this, so then he can never get tried for this ever again. Let me tell you something, guys. No, I think that everything happened because the prosecution effed it up. Yeah, like this. It's a wrap. It was a wrap. As soon as they started asking those questions, as soon as she went up and took the stand, the attorney, Morrissey, I was like, oh, it's a wrap. It's done. It was a wrap when, what's her face? Corporal Alexandria Hancock was told the judge, yes, I filed it under a different case number. I was told to put it under a different case number, and I did. It was a wrap after that. And that was way before we even got to, let's see, Seth Kenney went up there. Then it was a wrap after Seth Kenney. And then, of course, you had the defense being like, you were drinking a lot. I was like, oh, my dear God. They're just going for the jugular. The dude was out for blood, literally. Okay. I mean, it was an absolute circus. It was an absolute mess. And I am kind of curious what's going to happen here. I know some of you guys said in the chat, would Alec Baldwin sue? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I mean, let's be real. There looks like there could have been potential corruption going on here. Hiding evidence for the trial is insane to me. That's law enforcement and the prosecution teaming together and making that decision together as a team. That is scary stuff, guys. Very, very scary stuff. And the fact that that was unearthed late on day 2, right? and then they brought it back up to bring it up to talk about it today, or I'm sorry, yesterday, is absolutely crazy. All right. Man, oh man, what a trial. Okay. Jazzy Ladybug, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for the love. What a wild turn of events. I never thought that this would ever turn out the way it did. I was expecting to hear a verdict just like everybody else. Whether it was going to be a mistrial or guilty or not guilty, doesn't matter. I was expecting to hear a wild case. I was expecting the trial to be wild, but I was expecting it to be on the defense side. And then everything turned on a dime, showing that it was the state that was conducting this 3-ring circus. Ain't that crazy? It was the state that did that, guys. That wasn't defense. No, we weren't watching Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Okay? We were literally watching Have Mercy. We were really watching prosecution fall all over the place, trying to catch all the spinning plates that they had spinning all at the same time, and everything, and it just fell all apart. Crazy. All right, Dolphin, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. I do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Okay, thank you so much. It was a short trial, but thank you for covering it. It's funny, people didn't like me covering this. People did not like the fact that I was watching this. You know, people were complaining. But at the same time, we cover a lot of things on this channel. Okay, we talk about everything. And I wanted to see it. I really wanted to see how this was going to go down. And I hadn't done a watch party to a trial in a very, very long time. Like throughout, in a very, very long time. Okay, so for those of y'all who did tune in and watch with me, I really do appreciate it, okay? It really does mean a lot. Just so you guys know, I will be on a little bit later on this evening. We do have paperwork. We do have Stephen Stern's pig vomit documents that we're going to be going through tonight. There's some very interesting things that have been dropped, and we are going to go through those documents this evening. So please be sure to tune in for that. Okay. I mean, this case is closed. He has been let free. Like I said, he will have his own prison in his own mind with all of this. There will be people out here that will, there's going to be people who are going to say rude things to his face. For sure, because people are rude, people are mean. Okay, so he will always have that reminder. Somebody out here will always remind him of this situation. So in other words, doesn't matter if he was to go to prison or not, he will always be in the prison of court of public opinion and the prison of his own mind, which is really sad because at the end of the day, let's be real, he was not found guilty or not found innocent at all. So I'm saying he has not been found innocent or is not guilty or guilty at all. You got to remember that. So he's going to be walking this earth constantly thinking, if this thing went through, would I have been found guilty or not guilty? And I think a lot of people that wanted him to be found guilty are going to be wondering that same thing too. I know it's like, that's his life and we move on and we fight we fight every single day to bring stories forward and bring light to other cases and other tragedies that are going on in the world. But at the same time, we also have to remember that, this was not thorough justice. There is some corner of the world, there is some side of the fence that are believing that Helena Hutchins did not get full justice right now. And we have to remember that. We do. Regardless if there's a prosecutor that does the right thing or does the ethical, moral thing by saying, hey, I'm out chucking the deuces because this is corrupt. Regardless of the prosecution totally screwing it up, law enforcement hiding evidence and all that stuff and showing that corruption, it's pretty wild. But at the same time, this was not a full, fair trial. Just something to think about, guys. Just something to think about. regardless if you believe he's innocent or not. We did not get a full trial. And the people that cared about this, that wanted to seek justice or exoneration, they're not getting those either. Neither side is getting either part. You know, the DA is investigating her and police. Oh, thank God. Thank God. That's great. As they should. As they should, dagnabbit. Because let's be real, that's messed up, yo. That's real messed up. Okay? The DA better be looking into this. It's this shoot. I bet you Prosecutor Morrissey went home and had a mega pint. Okay? And it was nothing but a martini. It was just a mega pint of martini. Actually, forget the olives. Forget the triple sec. It was just straight vodka. A pint of vodka. I'm keeping it real. Or gin. Oof. Okay? But still, have mercy. They should be catching some charges in my personal opinion. All right? And we'll see it as it starts to unfold. Kimberly, again, thank you so much for gifting another membership. Yeah, baby. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much. But just so you guys know, so this evening I will be on, or, like late afternoon, evening, on the cusp area. I will be looking at some new documents revolving around pig vomit and the Madeline Soto case. Okay. There's been some new information that has dropped. We're going to be taking a look at it, and it's crazy. Okay. So we'll be chopping it up. It's a big, it's not 896 pages, but still it is a big document. We're going to be going through it today. So please be assured to tune in. I'll be posting it beforehand so you guys know what time I will be on, and we'll get into that and have a conversation. You guys don't remember Mega Pint? You guys don't remember because the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation, the Mega Pint. It's all good. It's all good. I just think that she's probably having a very hard morning. Just to be completely honest. Yeah. Pretty bad morning. So we'll see what happens here, guys. All right. Yeah, she remembers. See, some of y'all remember Mega Pint. I mean, that's years ago. Feels like it was yesterday. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was only a few years ago, y'all. Crazy, right? But anyway, guys, we got to get going. So that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Okay, we are going to be venturing onto Madeline Soto this evening. So be sure, or, late afternoon, early evening. So be sure to tune in. We got some paperwork. We got some documents to look into. We're going to be chopping it up, talking about all that stuff. Pig vomit's trash. That's all I'm going to say. So we're going to look into it. He's like a little baby. It's hilarious. It's hilarious and very disturbing and frustrating at the same time, too. But he's a human trash. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on other platforms, be sure to hit that follow button. Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Show some love over there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button over here on my YouTube channel. Go over to my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. That'll be greatly appreciated. Go subscribe over there as well. Come on over here. Hit that join button down below. Become a member of the family. All right. Show some support. And of course, if you want to become a patron, please go over to patreon.com/The Pascal Show. And thank you to all the new members. I'm sorry. Shout out to all y'all. Welcome to the family. Shout out to my mods for holding it down. As always, I appreciate you guys as well. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. We'll be talking soon. See you guys in a little bit. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.